16. Specifically, this game came very out of hand in the second quarter when Dak Prescott threw 3 back-to-back touchdowns to CeeDee Lamb first, then George Pickens, then Jake Ferguson. I saw in the third quarter he also had a touchdown pass to Ryan Flournoy. Overall, this entire game really showed all the weaknesses of the Raiders. Every single weakness that we've talked about the Raiders, all of the inconsistencies we've seen all year long, it was all shown in last night's game. First and foremost, Geno Smith is bad. There's no other way to put it. He makes a lot of bad throws. He doesn't make a lot of good reads. He doesn't make the right reads 90% of the time. Now, I will say him not having any wide receiver one play, no offense, Trey Tucker. I know he caught the touchdown last night. I know he's had a very underrated season. I don't view Trey Tucker as a wide receiver one on a team. I know you have Brock Bowers, so you might make the argument that he's really the wide receiver one, but you got to have a real threat on the outside. And no offense, Jack Beck, Tyler Lockett, and Trey Tucker just did not feel like big enough threats to make the Dallas secondary feel like they had to do anything crazy. And on offense, you can see, I will get into that in a bit, Tony. Don't worry. The Ashton Jeanty talk will come. But as for the Cowboys, it was the exact opposite. Dak Prescott looked so in rhythm with his guys. I know that CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens both missed the first, or were sat for the first drive of the game due to, I believe, missing curfew, I think it was. They went out in Vegas. Are we surprised that CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens went out in Vegas? We shouldn't be. So missing the first drive, and then funny enough, they both came out, scored a touchdown, 14 catches combined, over 200 yards combined, and 2 touchdowns for that duo. If you were to ask me to rank every single wide receiver duo in football, I think I would have this duo at number 1. I really think that the George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb duo is number 1. They're fantastic together. You know, you got CeeDee Lamb, who's the route runner, who's the hands, who's the after the run kind of guy with it. I mean, he's an incredible receiver. We know CeeDee Lamb is a top 4 to 5 wide receiver in football right now, as is. Even when he went down, George Pickens, as a Steelers fan, I could tell you how good this guy is when he's on the field. I will say he was so inconsistent when he was a Pittsburgh Steeler. As a Cowboy, he hasn't missed any time, and he's been a fantastic threat for Dak Prescott. 9 catches, 144 yards. He had that great catch to the body, turned the other way because Dak led him to the left, which allowed Pickens to know that the defender was coming from the other side. He turned to the left side, ran down the sideline, cut back to the middle right before the end zone, and scored that beautiful 37-yard touchdown for George Pickens. But overall, it really showed all the weaknesses of the Raiders. First and foremost, the Cowboys have been known as the worst run defense in all of football basically all year long. I mean, they have just been the worst team at stopping the run. I know that they went out and they, traded Micah Parsons for Kenny Clark thinking that would help. It really didn't. Then they brought in Quentin Williams, which obviously made a big impact, but 6 rushing attempts for Ashton Jeanty. 6. This team had 12 total rushing attempts the entire game. Raheem Mostert had 2. Geno Smith had 4. But yet Geno Smith is going to throw the ball 42 times in this game against the secondary that I get that they struggled a little bit against Arizona last week. Specifically, Dayron Bland struggled against Marvin Harrison. We all saw it. But when you have Dayron Bland against Trey Tucker and Tyler Lockett, it's not Marvin Harrison, who's 6'4", 4'3", 40. I did not understand why they are trying to win this game by passing the ball when the entire game plan all year long against the Cowboys has been run first, get your pass in rhythm. Run first, get your pass in rhythm. That has been the game plan against the Cowboys all year long. That has worked. There's a reason the Cowboys are 3-5-1. It's because really this defense has been so bad. And yet the Raiders come out and they don't even for a second try and get a running rhythm at all. Ashton Jeanty never got rhythm. He had 6 rushes for 7 yards. The running plays that they ran from were so bad. It was like either it was either Geno under center and Jeanty behind and just a straight handoff off the middle. Or it was, they stuffed every single run attempt. It was just such bad play calling, in my opinion. Such bad play calling all day long by the Raiders, especially in that run game. I do want to give a shout out, Biker. I know you're saying that defense was looking good again. I will say, this was by far the best the Cowboys defense has looked all year. I can't tell you it means much because this is the Raiders team that's been the most inconsistent team all year long in football. I cannot believe that Geno Smith really played this entire game and they allowed him to just keep throwing the ball in the second. I don't know. the whole game I'm watching this, I'm like, when are they going to just scheme up plays for, Bowers? When are they going to try and get a rhythm with Jeanty? They did not have any run-pass balance, and the Cowboys, but we would let off a play that usually becomes a score. That didn't happen. True. When they decide to run at the 1 yard line, Dallas gets the safety. Yeah, I will say, I know they traded for Quinn Williams. I just said all that. The D-line's gotten better. This Raiders offensive line is so bad. I don't know what is going on with a couple of these. I don't know if it's the schemes or it's Jackson Powers not running center and they wanted him to be the guard. I really don't know what has gone wrong. But you as an organization, Tom Brady, Geno Smith, or Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, these are guys that are supposed to be smart-minded NFL people. You took a running back with the 6th overall pick in Ashton Jeanty to give him no offensive line to run behind, to give him no rushing quarterback threat behind him, and to give him no wide receiver help on the outside, specifically in blocking. It is pathetic the way that this Raiders team has quote-unquote rebuilt over this year, especially in the offseason. 2-8. I expected this Raiders team to be much more around 500 by this point in the year. 2-8, 1-4 at home is horrendous. Geno Smith continues throwing interceptions. I know the pick that he threw really wasn't his fault. It hit off the hand. It really was tipped really awkwardly and then kind of went back. But even then, he tried throwing in triple coverage to Brock Bowers, which was not open. It just felt like this whole game was just Raiders right off the bat giving the Cowboys the game. And then I really believed that the Raiders would find some sort of momentum during garbage time. Obviously they had that one good drive with Trey Tucker. They had the good drive to end the half where they got the field goal. I really thought that was going to build momentum into the second half, and it just did not at all. It really bothers me to see a guy like Max Crosby, who's playing his absolute heart out for this organization for however many years. This is the year they're supposed to be so much better with Pete Carroll, Geno Smith. They bring in all these win-now players and win-now coaches. And Max Crosby had a great play to start this game. He had that great fumble that led just to a, Geno Smith missed Trey Tucker in the end zone on that first play, led to a field goal. Raiders looked like they could have kept themselves in this game, and then in that second quarter, Dak Prescott just went ballistic on that defense, and the Raiders were not able to keep up at all. I just cannot believe I'm looking at his stat line after this game and seeing Ashton Jeanty have 6 carries for 7 yards, and Geno Smith outran him. Biker was saying earlier, yes, when they were trying to pass the ball, Geno Smith really didn't have any time. This offensive line, whether it's pass protection or run protection, is horrible. This offensive line has been arguably the worst all season long, and it didn't surprise me to see them be bad again. Overshown came back. Big comeback for the Cowboys defense is DeMarion Overshown. I know he didn't have that great statistically of a game, but man, he is such a good player. Got to give a big shout out, by the way, to Deron Bland, who came out after having a terrible game against Arizona. Came out and had probably his best game of the season to follow it up against the Raiders, which you love to see if you're a Cowboys fan, to see Deron Bland, who's been a very inconsistent player throughout his career. Obviously had the year with a lot of interceptions, then an injury-prone year, kind of goes back and forth. You want to see him be a little bit more consistent, but you're happy to see him have a big game. Shout out Quinn Williams, by the way. 1.5 sacks on the game, 1 tackle for loss on top of that. James Houston got a sack. Kenny Clark got half a sack. Osa got a sack. 4 total sacks for this Dallas Cowboys D-line that has really struggled throughout the year. But I hate to say it, Cowboys fans, this really doesn't make me feel much better about you guys. It just makes me realize how bad the Vegas Raiders are. If I'm looking up at the Cowboys' upcoming schedule, they get the Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, even Chargers in the next 5 games. Those are 5 teams that I think could beat the Cowboys. I can't wait to watch the Eagles game, Chiefs game. You know that they're going to be high-scoring games. You know the Cowboys are going to come out and want to throw the ball to, why Jeff Saturday is pumping the brakes on the Cowboys after this win. I would say the exact same thing. They're still 4-5-1. They're still looking outside the playoffs. I really don't think that this Cowboys team is going to make the playoffs, unfortunately. They'd have to sneak out a big win against the Eagles and beat either the Lions or the Chiefs, which is going to be very difficult games to do. But if Dak Prescott can play the way he did, 270 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 8 incompletions, incredible game for Dak overall. I thought his timing of throws was really pretty all game long. There was the one play he threw, the touchdown he threw to George Pickens. Jamal Adams was like right here, waiting to just make the tackle on Dak, waiting for Dak to take one more step up, and Dak threw the ball at perfect timing to a perfect spot. The touchdown pass to Ferguson was really, really nice. He hit CeeDee Lamb in stride for basically all of his throws. He kept finding Pickens in the zone. I gotta give Pickens a lot of credit, man. He kept sitting down in the zone and just staying open all day long. But yeah, overall, this game doesn't make me feel much better in terms of like where I'm looking at the Cowboys. But that Raiders, they got to fix their offensive line. They got to almost go through a full-blown rebuild around Bowers Jeanty and Brock Bowers. I'm sad that I believed in these guys early on in their careers because I feel like we're going to get to like year 4 and 5, and that's when they're going to be the best version of themselves when they have a real quarterback alongside them, a real offensive line. Like Tony just said, I hope they concentrate on a line next year in the draft. I keep asking myself why I'm still a Raiders fan. I saw a lot of Raiders social media people this morning posting all about the Raiders and how they just heartbreak and heartbreak and heartbreak every single year. It feels like these Raiders fans are never getting excited about something. You know, you draft Jeanty, you draft Bowers. You possibly got the 2 best offensive players in back-to-back drafts, and yet you have two wins to show for it because you haven't been able to put an offensive line around it. You trade for a guy like Geno Smith, who hasn't turned out to, who's turned out to maybe be the worst quarterback in football this year. He's still against this Cowboys defense has more interceptions and touchdowns on the year. I believe he has 13 interceptions to 12 total touchdowns now for Geno, which is terrible. I cannot believe that they literally have to rely on Tyler Lockett to be the savior in almost 2026. The Las Vegas Raiders really thought that bringing in Tyler Lockett and bringing him in as the wide receiver 1 would make a difference on this team. I am disappointed in the Raiders this year. I really thought Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly would be much better than this. And as for Dallas, you got to see the offense click. You got to see Dayron Bland play a lot better. Quinnen Williams have a great game for the Cowboys. It's just that schedule is looking very, very tough in the future. You just hope that they continue. This offense continues clicking the way it did in this game. And that D-line can just, you spend a lot of draft capital to get the D-line. Even with trading away Micah, you still gave away a lot of draft capital to get this D-line to where it is now. So you hope that D-line can keep playing consistently like this game was. But yeah, Raiders fix the offensive line and give Jeanty the ball more than 6 times. I know he had 6 catches, but even then there was a couple of times when Geno didn't actually hit him in the right pass. Like, the defenders are dropping back. I'm with a lady right now. It's a Dallas fan. I have to try. I could imagine, Tony. Yeah, I could imagine watching that game with a Cowboys fan must not have been an enjoyable time. I picked the Raiders to win. So funny enough now, because of that, Eli, O'Toole, and I all tied in our predictions this week. All 3 of us went 9-5. All 3 of us went 9-5 in our predictions, so kind of fun. We're going to see what kind of punishment we got to do for that. But shout out George Pickens. I really wish he was still a Pittsburgh Steeler. I can't lie. 9 for 144 and a touchdown. This whole year he is 2nd in the NFL right now in yards. He has 908 yards, 11th in the league in receptions with 58, and tied for 3rd in the NFL with 7 touchdowns. Huge shout out to George Pickens getting traded for a 3rd-round pick. I love seeing him and CeeDee's dynamic too. They really just enjoy each other. You can tell that they're just good friends on and off the field. That was an incredible trade for Dallas to swoop in and take George Pickens out for a 3rd-round pick. Can't wait to see what the Steelers do with that 3rd-round pick and what bust we draft to make up for the fact that Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson were our wide receiver 2 this year and not George Pickens. But that's going to do it for my recap. Shout out Brock Bowers for getting 12 targets. He looks great. Nothing about Brock Bowers. Nothing bad I have to say about Brock Bowers. He's such a good player. It's just this Raiders team really, really, really needs to figure out what is the next steps, whether it's, a drafting offensive line, but are they going to be so bad that maybe they go for a quarterback high in the draft, which I really don't think would help them that much. If a Mendoza or a Sellers was the Raiders quarterback, I don't see them really raising the ceiling of this team. I really think they gotta go offensive line first. They get Cleveland next week with probably Shador playing, so that'll be an intriguing game to watch. Geno versus Shador. There might be 4 total people watching that entire game. Chargers, Broncos, Eagles, Texans, Chiefs. Unfortunately, I don't see the Raiders winning many games to end the year. So if I'm a Raiders fan, I just hope that they feed Jeanty, hope they feed Bowers, and figure out in the offseason what the direction of this team is going to be.